In the hullabaloo that inevitably follows in the wake of any major content announcement, it can be easy to forget that modders are constantly working on improving and altering how we play our games, and there are a few examples better than Cataf's and Dreamlore's pet project, Closer to Tabletop Overhaul. Boys will be boys may be the slogan with which they draw people in, but there are no greenskins here. It's the cult of Ulric, Midland, and the overwhelming close-quarter skill of Chaos, which will be butting heads today in the jungles of the New World. Over 4 megabytes worth of Excel spreadsheets and papers on quantum physics have been used to recreate the spirit of the tabletop as faithfully as possible, and it makes for a completely different gameplay experience compared to the vanilla game. So when we look at the Warriors of Chaos, one of the things that will immediately jump out to you are their insane melee stats. Hands down, without question, the best CQC faction in the game, converted straight from their 8th edition army book alongside unique mechanics like Gifts of Chaos and Eye of the Gods. All across the line, Chaos Warriors will be able to scythe through state troops in a melee brawl, but tar pits and holding actions with lower end troops have become much more viable as well. And one of the things that bothers me about the vanilla game is that there isn't much differentiation in stats between Empire generals and Chaos Lords, Thanes and Captains, but here, Exalted Heroes are a real threat, even to someone as prestigious as Boris Todbringer, Elector Count of Midland, and they're not even Lords. And then you look at a named Chaos Lord like Sigvald, who doesn't see much play in vanilla multiplayer, and his stats are pretty damn terrifying. With armor piercing, 72 melee attack that bypasses physical resistance, and the favored sun mechanic that increases his weapon skill dramatically for every 30 seconds he's in combat. But if it sounds like it's all too much, like the Empire couldn't possibly compete, you would be very wrong. You certainly don't want to take an early melee engagement against them. You will get run over, but they have some tools up their sleeve, and the Steam Tank is a highlight of what they can bring to the table. So much more interesting than it was in vanilla, you now have a ton of tactical options that dramatically change how it's used in combat. Overcharged weapons turns it into a ranged powerhouse at the expense of a big debuff in mobility, increasing range and reload skill but lowering speed. Full Steam Ahead gives it powerful melee capabilities at the expense of the range of the cannon, and every 60 seconds, after it drops below 20% health, there's a chance the Steam Tank will instantly explode. So it feels like a much more interactive unit overall, alongside all these tabletop mechanics. And the Knights of the White Wolf crush the weak. That's what they do, baby. And apparently, they suffer Ulric's Fury, which sounds like some god-dang heresy to me. While they certainly can't take on Chaos Knights 1v1 and be expected to win, they can definitely put a hurt on any armored unit they get their hands on. Handgunners can be brought in regiments to further increase their devastating firepower, and Tunican Guard are a great supplement to any Empire front line with plenty of armor-piercing damage. The ace in the hole this battle are the Light Wizard and his armor-piercing Outriders hidden in the woods right now, who need to be used very well to whittle down that front line before the factions clash. If you want to take on Chaos in a head-to-head melee brawl, you need to make sure they have lost many of their number before you decide to do it. And that's what the Outriders will be able to provide in spades here as they move up and get some great armor-piercing volleys into the front of the Chaos Warriors. And you can see, with that 65 weapon damage or missile damage, they're gonna be feeling that in the morning. Some pretty powerful volleys on their way in, and it's a layered defense from Midland with as much space as possible between the encroaching Chaos Horde and their own infantry units, because all that range firepower needs time more than anything else. Time to fire and continuously chunk down the rage of the Dark Gods. Now, Dragon Ogres are simply not a unit Midland Heavy Cavalry wants to get anywhere near unless they absolutely have to. They are very brutal. So the Steam Tank is very wisely going to pull back, but with the overcharged weapons enacted, the speed of it is very, very slow. So again, you have to be very tactical, be very cognizant of where your positioning is, because you can punish your own Steam Tank very heavily if you decide to put it in the wrong spot and use the wrong ability at the wrong time. And hopefully, our Light Wizard won't be pulling any Egrim von Horseman shenanigans, converting the Tzeentch into this battle, because this Net of Ammontok will be very important in slowing down the Chaos approach. You can just take a look at these Outriders right now, what they've already done. They're not actually terrible in vanilla, but they just feel better here. And repeater handguns are certainly doing a lot more than just tickling that front line as Marauder Horsemasters get their volleys in with their javelins. Dragon Ogre is getting some shots from those handgunners, deciding to pull away. And as the Chaos Horde continues to encroach on the lines of Midland, there's going to need to be something to slow down approach. And one of the best ways to do that, of course, as the Steam Tank fires in, is the Net of Ammontok. And this will go down on a huge swath of the Chaos line. Their entire right flank completely shut down by an overcast version of the Net of Ammontok, and that will slow down 5 or 6 units as the handgunners continue to fire in, and the Marauder Horsemasters charge up the center, into the Spearman regiments as the Outriders pull away. Now, of course, they're going to try to disengage from that melee engagement very quickly. Don't want to stick around against that bonus first large, but we've continued to layer our enfilade, continue to fire in from multiple angles and flanks, and just slow down the rest of these Chaos Warriors and Chosen. And as the Steam Gun gets a really nice shot in, jibs a couple of those Chaos Warriors, all of the front line is taking quite a substantial amount of damage. And just now, the rest of the army can start moving again. So one of the best ways to use the Empire in this mod is, of course, layering that fire so that the Outriders can fire over the top of your own handgunners, and you've got multiple ranks. So even if your handgunners somehow get tied down, you've still got armor-piercing missile damage firing in, focus firing high-value targets, and it's a great way to just kind of equalize those numbers before the melee engagement begins. But of course, once Chaos gets their big, scary, great weapons on contact into melee with the state troops, that's where things will start shifting back in their favor. One of the units is already almost dead, but many of the Chaos army have made it into combat now as the Sons of Sigmar charge in. Steam Gun getting a good shot into the Dragon Ogres, and unfortunately, the Knights of the White Wolf will have to shut down those Dragon Ogres, which means they're pretty much a sacrifice, lambs to the slaughter there. There's absolutely no way they're going to be able to engage the bonus first large and AP of Dragon Ogres. They're way too strong, and that heavy cavalry will die very quickly as the Chosen and Chaos Warriors move up and finally get the rest of their army into combat. Greatswords charging up the center into the Chaos Warriors. It'll be very interesting to see how regular Chaos Warriors manage to hold out there. I will say, with their already depleted numbers, they probably won't be able to beat the Greatswords. But Outriders pulling out now and looking for a better target to fire in as Knights of the White Wolf have made it around the flank, and they might seek to charge in as Boris Todbringer, Elector Count of Midland, equipped with the Legbiter Rune Fang, looks to slaughter some of those Chosen in melee. This is a mod where you can't just send your Legendary Lords into combat unsupported, though. Very important to mention that, as the Knights of the White Wolf will get a gigantic rear charge, roaring into the flank and the rear of the Chaos line. That armor piercing is going to do so much work, and it should shatter those two units there. And looks bad for Chaos right now, right? But one of the things that's most characteristic of them, of course, is that they have very small armies. And when you think of Chosen, they pack a absolute wallop in a very small entity unit count, as the Exalted Hero does the exact same thing. Single entity as handgunners fire in, but doing a great job of tying down Boris Todbringer, handgunners in the back lines, and just being a nuisance in general. And he's already done a lot of damage to the handgunners and to Boris as the Chaos Knights roar in from the flank, shut down more of those range units in the back. Outriders will have to be very cognizant of their positioning, or they will get overrun by that powerful heavy cavalry. And all across the line, lots of wavering on both sides. Midland's left flank is being completely overrun where the Dragon Ogres have made their impact, their presence most felt. Chaos Knights and Exalted Hero working in tandem with each other and absolutely shredding the back lines for the Empire here as another net of Ammontok goes down, just to kind of shut down the mobility of Chaos and make sure those Chaos Knights can continuously shut down all those handgunners. If they can get some good shots into the Chaos Knights, they might be able to turn things back in their favor. Demigryph Knights with halberds will run over those aspiring champions and look to go into something else, but Chosen with halberds are not the target they're going to want to go after. Chosen will absolutely shred them, so they'll want to rethink that and quickly pull out, or they will die. And Sigvald the Magnificent has made it in now into the middle of the Tübingen Guard, and his favorite sun mechanic, you can see that it's active over the top with that pink bar. He's going to do some serious work with Sliver Slash as the Scion of Slanesh slices his way through the insolent Knights of Ulric, who would dare to match him in a duel. He's now up to 426 weapon damage, and that will continue to rise the longer he's in the thick of it. Shifting over, Chaos Knights have been surrounded, hounded by the White Wolf at every turn, and smashed apart in the jungles here, being run down with impunity. And you can see some armor-piercing missile damage getting fired into the halberds in the back, who seem to have been forgotten for now, but getting those under control will be very important. They've got a lot left to their number as the Exalted Hero atop his Manticore, eviscerating that back line almost single-handedly now, ripping through their ranks, picking up an unfortunate soul here, and you're gonna go for a ride, sending him screaming to his doom. An abrupt stop at the end of a rather unpleasant ride right there. And many of the Midland troops have been completely cut to pieces, but Steam Tank has activated its melee capabilities, which will increase its speed substantially, its charge bonus, and its ability to completely run over stuff. And those Chaos Warriors are booking it. They want none of that. They are gone. They are out of here. Dark Gods are not. They don't care. They don't want to deal with that monstrosity. and the halberds have been gotten under control here, coming back to deal with the Knights of the White Wolf, and they should be able to beat them in combat. There's a fight going on, brewing around the Exalted Hero, completely surrounded by the Knights of the White Wolf, and this is what you expect when you see Empire versus Chaos, right? You expect to see a Chaos Lord or an Exalted Hero just dueling massive numbers of Empire state troops and still being a beast, but he shouldn't be long for this world unless Sigval can get over there and save his life. Steam Tank overrunning the Chosen now. Well, actually, it's doing the exact opposite. It's trying to get away, but that has kicked in, where it drops below 50% health. It moves way slower, and Chosen are keeping up with it, doing a lot of damage. Exalted Hero looks to be on its last legs as it's about to go down, surrounded by the Knights of the White Wolf. But Sigvald, he's going to start going to work here, and that rapier, forged from a sliver of Slanesh's own blade, that's gonna rip them apart for sure. And Sigvald is still at full HP. He's really, really powerful as Outriders make sure those halberds can't come back, chasing them off the map. Looks like there's a lot on the field for Midland, but Boris, very little HP left. He can't get even close to Sigval without getting ripped apart. Steam Tank being run down here, and that's a big part of the balance bar. If the Steam Tank dies, it could be a big shift as Demigryph Knights charge up the center and absolutely destroy the remnants of those Chaos Warriors. And the Demigryphs, they're too much. Too much even for Chaos Warriors with great weapons. They'll shred through them, make sure they rout, and they're going to do a great job of shutting down the rest of these units, making sure they can't go back and join the Scion of Slanesh over on the other side of the battlefield. Another impactful charge here, sending them flying, and those Chaos Warriors will also rout. So the Demigryphs absolutely paying for themselves, and there goes the Steam Tank. Just blew up in the background there. That's what happens if it drops below 20% health. Every 60 seconds, it will have a chance to completely explode out of nowhere, which some people might not like that RNG aspect, but you have to be honest, it's completely true to what the tabletop's all about. And there goes the Steam Tank, no longer on the field. So, Sigvald, the champion of the Dark Gods here, in the middle of a bunch of halberdiers. And he's just kicking ass. There's nothing really that can deal with him in a 1v1 here. It's going to mostly be Sigvald against the world. But look at the balance bar. Still completely even as we get a look at the favored son mechanic right there. You can see the dramatic increases in weapon stats he can get the longer he's in combat. Outriders trying to chuck him down, but that auric armor provides so much regeneration. It will heal and knit together all those wounds, and he's still at full HP, as chosen with halberds, who did rout to the Steam Tank, I guess. Coming back, handgunners and Outriders shifting into a position to fire in from multiple flanks, completely overwhelm it with the armor-piercing missile damage. But they have the mobility, so I don't think Chosen will be able to close in very easily unless Sigvald can shut them down, make sure those handgunners stop firing. But for now, he's dealing with the Knights of the White Wolf and Boris over in the forest, and that means these handgunners can fire in with impunity. And even Chosen, even with the Dark Gods watching, cannot deal with all these decapitating shots coming in and the accuracy of Midland's gunners. Too much, Chosen will rout, and that entire unit just completely enveloped in cascading fire, shredding them apart. Beautiful thing to watch. I love watching Empire handgunners go to work, and it'll be even better if CA can fix those handgun issues that are on the current patch. I would love to see that get fixed because their line of sight is a little bit buggy in the current state of the game, but we'll see if that gets fixed. Boris Todbringer coming in from the flank on top of his Barded Warhorse, and the Demigryph Knights as well will make sure those Chosen never come back. So, what do we have left? A handgunner unit with a little bit of ammunition left, not a whole lot. Getting in a full volley here, and look at the regen on Sigvald. Taking full volleys and still out-regenning almost all that DPS. Really impressive right there. And it's a Chaos Lord versus the world here. Absolute world beater from Sigvald the Magnificent. Massively outnumbered, but the bounce bar is still dead even. He's up to 100 kills at this point, and his blade will constantly be carving a path of red ruin through the remaining Midland soldiers. We're trying desperately to get the hell away from him, because Siggy, well, he's on the warpath right now. Can anything stop him, or is he going to carry the day single-handedly for the forces of chaos? He's absolutely shredding everything right now. Great swords can't stop him. Knights of the White Wolf can't stop him, but they can knock him over. Remember, mass still important, so a cavalry charge can still bowl him over a bit. But as the Demigryphs charge in, completely surround him, and the remaining HP on Boris, can the Electric Count, Legbiter, and the remaining Midland troops finally finish him off. Completely surrounded now, nowhere to go. Sigvald makes his last stand here with the auric armor, taking down many of these monstrous troops. The Demigryphs going down, and he's starting to rampage as his leadership drops. That's the stupidity kicking in. He's looking at his own shield and being like, oh, I'm covered in blood. What's happening? He's freaking out right now. And as he makes his last stand, his leadership continues to drop. His HP is dropping. And Sigvald, even as strong as he is, will not be able to carry the day as the armor-piercing attacks from all of our troops kick in from multiple angles. And they will be able to cause him to rout and finish the day here. Midland will take the field with a skeleton crew at the end of all things. Barely anything in their army left, but they will win. And that was an incredibly satisfying battle from start to finish. That was exactly how I want the Empire to play. You need to play well. Like, you need to not just run in. Like, you can't be expected to just field great swords and go toe-to-toe with Chaos. It's not how it should play. It's the asymmetrical balance, right? Empire has the advantage of the mobility. They have the advantage of the range firepower. You need to use that to its fullest potential if you want any hope of winning the battle. And so even with all the damage that I did, the net of Amatox going down, holding down back the Chosen, holding back the overwhelming melee capabilities of Chaos for a while, once they got in, you saw how quickly the melee engagement turned. You saw how quickly my Empire State troops were overrun there. Even though they're good troops, even though they have good morale, they still can't be expected to go toe-to-toe with Chosen. So Sigvald, once he and his Chosen got in, started ripping up everything. You saw the Exalted Hero make a huge impact on that battle, but it was just a very asymmetrical battle, and that's exactly what I love seeing in Warhammer. Seeing those Empire handgunners, seeing the cavalry, seeing the steam tank go to work. All those new mechanics, highly recommend this mod. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a nice change of pace, if nothing else. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.